we finally got to watch the big three in Phoenix, and it was very underwhelming because the Suns really did it all. They out-rebounded the Nets, they out-assisted the Nets, they even had a better shooting percentage than the Nets. But even after waiting all this time for this big day to come around, they still managed to lose. And it's funny because we all know why they lost. Like, there was one thing that happened that I'll talk about later on in the video because it is a bit important. But we all remember last year when the Suns first got Kevin Durant that the biggest topic of conversation was that the Suns had no depth. And with no one to really trade to get that depth at the time, it seemed like the only way they were going to build their depth was through free agency. Now, they didn't necessarily have a terrible free agency run, but they didn't have a great one either. I mean, they signed Ball and they gave us graphics like this on my Twitter timeline. Like, I was seeing this shit all day for Ball. They put Ball next to Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. What the fuck? Just because why not? Let's just see what Ball is averaging this year. He's averaging 0.4 points in 5 games. They put him next to a graphic with Kevin Durant. I cannot believe that. Same thing with Yuta. Like, I don't want to sit here and shit on these players because they're obviously bench players who don't really have a big role and aren't going to have a big role when you're on a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. But I feel like there were so many people overhyping these pickups, like players that just didn't really add anything. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, them adding Yuta and Ball is going to make them a contender. Like, I don't know what that came from. And that's not me saying that they have no bench depth at all or that all the players that they have are not good, because I do really like guys like Josh Okogie or Damian Lee, who we sadly haven't been able to see this year. And Josh Okogie didn't play in this game either. But in this game, there was no depth from the Suns, and that is why they lost. Now, this isn't the first time that the bench hasn't really come through on a big game like this. Not to mention, it shouldn't be up to the bench to win these games. It all comes down to the big three. And it feels like the hype around this team just died really fast. Like, during the offseason, everyone was so hyped about seeing Beal, Booker, and KD together. And I feel like maybe because they were all injured or they didn't all play together at the same time early on in the season, the hype is dead. No one is talking about this team. No one cares about this team. Maybe it's because everyone sees through the bullshit of this big three and they know that there's no depth and that they won't really have a big run. But it's just crazy to see how fast that happened. And that brings me to my next point about this big three specifically. Kevin Durant throughout this game was playing really good. I mean, the first quarter he was a little bit struggling, but he picked it up and he went on to do Kevin Durant things. Booker was also playing amazing. I mean, he's very clearly having one of the best seasons in his entire career, but was playing great on-ball defense. I mean, both of these sides had something to prove, considering Mikal on the Nets was traded from the Suns and Booker wants to show Mikal, and you know, the classic like rivalry between the two guys, you know what I mean? But there was one player in the big three that was just not really having the best night. Okay, you obviously know who I'm talking about. Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal was not having the best night, or was he? Because if you go ahead and take a look at how he performed that night, he was shooting great. He was shooting 6 for 9 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, some assists on there, only 2 turnovers. Like, he was having a good game. So why is it that he scored only 14 points? Well, it's actually because of Jusuf Nurkic, who put up 15 fucking shot attempts. Jusuf Nurkic, ladies and gentlemen, 0 for 2 from 3, 7 for 15. He did grab 22 boards. Impressive. Does that warrant 15 fucking shot attempts when you're on a team with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, KD? No, not at all. So it's just so funny to me that Beal wasn't having a bad game, but they still just wouldn't give him the ball. He couldn't get it because Jusuf Nurkic was busy hucking those fuckers up. And if you're the Suns, or if you're a Suns fan, I feel like you have to look at the big picture, and that's, will this team be able to perform in the playoffs if they continue to be like this? Or, you know, can they make it through the second round? I mean, so much of this weight is on Kevin Durant and Devin Booker's shoulders. I'm not even going to put Bradley Beal in this mix because I feel like he's not only been out for a long time, but no one really expects Bradley Beal to be the guy on this team, right? It's Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, which is why I feel like the Suns trading for Bradley Beal was one of the stupidest decisions they've ever made as a franchise, because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, that's enough. You don't need to add Bradley Beal to this mix. They are well off on their own, and we have seen that when they play together. And I just can't help but imagine if the Phoenix Suns were to not trade for Bradley Beal and instead trade for key pieces, key rotational pieces, where they would be right now, and it'd probably be in a way better situation. But unfortunately, I think they got caught up in the names, and they wanted to have that big three, I don't know, maybe sell tickets. They have a new owner. I don't know what they're trying to do or why they did it. It just doesn't seem like the smartest decision, and you just look bad if you go and try to flip Bradley Beal right now. Not to mention his contract is shit. It is an overall terrible situation. I don't know why they put themselves in this. Now, the only real thing I see from Bradley Beal on this team would be actually when they get to the playoffs, right? Maybe he is the guy who can take a majority of the weight after so much was put on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Maybe he is the guy that in game 5 of the second round, he pops off and scores 30, right? Maybe that's his role on this team. And for that, I kind of understand, but I just don't feel like it's reliable to go an entire NBA season and try to trust two guys and a couple bench players that hopefully, cross your fingers, have a good game to take you to the NBA Finals and win a championship. I mean, you see their roster from 2021. Yeah, 2021 was when they went to the finals. That roster had depth. They didn't need Kevin Durant. They didn't need, you know, Bradley Beal. Everyone needs Devin Booker because he's one of the best shooting guards in the game. But they had the depth. They had the players there. They had the system. They had the chemistry. And they just fucked that shit up. But with that being said, the Phoenix Suns are currently 13-11 in the Western Conference, and we will hopefully see that pick up for their own sake later on as they do get more games in with Bradley Beal and the Big Three. I will say though, really quick, if we get like halfway through the season or near the end of the season and Bradley Beal hasn't been performing good, this is a Big Two. I'm not even calling him Big Three. He's a rotational player at that point. Maybe their bench depth is good. All right, that is enough of me ranting about the Phoenix Suns and how ass they've been and how honestly depressing this first game was for them. If you did enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below your opinion on this entire situation. I want to know what you guys think because I feel like I might be going just a little bit crazy here. Also, I read and respond to every single comment, so it wouldn't hurt to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe we can have a little conversation down there. But with that being said, hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Later.